Hey, welcome back to the channel. In this episode, we're going to be talking about the L.E. Modesitt Jr. novel Timediver's Dawn, which is book 2 of the Timegods world and wraps the series up. But before we do that, as always, I would ask that you please like, subscribe, turn on notifications so you know when new videos come on up. I try to put them up every 2 days or so, depending on how long it takes me to read the books. And leave a comment down below. I love hearing from you guys, and spread the word. I appreciate it. I appreciate your support. So, Timediver's Dawn doesn't really continue the story from the Fires of Paratime. It's more of a prequel, and it follows Samus Olin, who is Loki's grandfather. We see in this book kind of where Samus gets his ability. His mother is a person that he was never really close to. They never talked much. She never said what she did. She just kind of traveled around a lot. But his dad was the one that was always kind of the talking one. And we find out that he gets his ability from her. Now, in the beginning of this story, the people that can time dive, or basically go from one place to another, can dive, are called witches. And it's interesting because there's an Eastron and a Westron. And it's in the Eastron is where the witches supposedly are really persecuted. So you have many of them coming over to the West. And Samus doesn't really know of his abilities yet and grows into them. And the thing that's kind of interesting with him is that he really doesn't have a sense of empathy. But the only time that he really feels those things is when he's in what they call the undertime. When he's basically outside of time and space, in a sense. He can see what's going on around him, but nobody can really pick him up. He can see emotions, he can see energy, and he can feel things that the other people are feeling, but it's the only time that he can really do that. And Ryan, who's the doctor that helps recruit him, basically says the same thing to him. So it's kind of ironic that you, who has no sense of empathy, you can feel it only when you die. But the book goes through, and we see how things are set up for the Fires of Paratime. There's an uprising. His father is murdered. His neighbor who he liked the girl, they go down too, and then he gets captured. He stays first with this group in the swamps. He's able to make it down to the swamps, and he's traveling. He's using the undertime, but he can only do it little by little because it takes so much energy out of you. And unless you eat a whole lot of calories, unless you have a whole lot of energy, you come out of the other side really just ragged and ready to faint. So he can't really get away from these swampers. But he doesn't really want to be around them because there's one guy who really doesn't like him at all. And if it could happen, he'd blow him away. But so then from there, he gets captured by the Confeds, and he becomes a trooper. And it's while he's in the Confeds is when Ryan, who's a doctor, and she factors in obviously in the Fires of Paratime because the first triumvirate was Odin Thor, who is one of the big characters out of here, Samus himself, and Ryan. They were the original three that started the Temporal Guard, and you see how that kind of gets formed in this book. But she basically recruits him, and she sees that he has so much potential, but he's got so much to learn. And that's sort of the frustrating thing for her is, and really for him, is that it seems like to him that like Odin Thor and Ryan are playing games with him, word games, and he can't pick it up. And she's like, well, you have to start thinking for you. I can't do all the thinking for you. You need to start figuring some things out. And he starts to. I mean, he can't. He cannot go back in time. He cannot go forward in time on Query, the planet that he's in, and surface, come up. It's impossible. It's a law of time, and it's something that when you try to do that on the planet you were born on, it doesn't work, and that's something that Ryan tells him. So what he does is he's trying to figure out, okay, what can we do, because we got food disappearing, we don't really have weapons, we're sitting ducks. And he goes to different worlds, and if you saw the Fires of Paratime video or you read the book, you know that Query is of that time is based on technology, weaponry, stuff that was stolen from other worlds, other civilizations. And it starts basically with Samus stealing a duplicator. Okay, now we can duplicate food. All I gotta do is steal one weapon. We can duplicate that as long as we don't try to duplicate a power source. Because if you try to duplicate the power source and it's got power in it, it's going to go kaboom and make a mess and turn anybody that's around it into molecules. So the whole basing the world, the society of Query, on stolen technology, stolen weaponry, it comes from Samus himself. But what he doesn't realize is because he makes a deal that, we want to be separate. The Timedivers don't want to be part of the Confeds because the Confeds don't like us. They'd like to see us dead. They still see us as witches. They fear us. So it's a deal. They get to go off on their own, but he's got to bring back some weaponry in that for Odin Thor, who's a colonel general at this point. And what he doesn't realize is that when he gets this, as he's getting this weaponry and this technology for Odin Thor, and he's giving it to him, bracers and duplicators and energy pistols and stuff like that, is that he's making Odin Thor more powerful. He's setting him up to be a dictator. And if you remember, too, from the Fires of Paratime, there is the history of the Frost Giants. And they appear toward the end of the book. And Odin Thor tries to blame this on, obviously, Samus and the Timedivers. Frost Giants basically feed off energy and heat, and they basically just they suck it all in, and then they leave everything as like a frozen wasteland. And Samus has to figure out a way that we can take them out. It's going to take a lot of energy, and we have to lure them out because they can travel under time as well, and they do it in a different way than we do. So we have to figure this one out here. And he basically sets up this weaponry system where it's like this. It's like the sun weapon in the Fires of Paratime. So if you haven't seen that video, you might want to go back and watch that one. But it's supposed to take the rays of the sun and goes off mirrors and comes back down, and is supposed to basically obliterate the Frost Giants. And they do get rid of the Frost Giants, and that's when Samus really realizes, okay, we have all the stuff that can keep us going. But now Odin Thor is in a position to become dictator, emperor, whatever he wants. So he tells Ryan, who now they have developed this relationship. They are together. I mean, he goes back and he sees his mom's death. She's in an eternal death. She's like in a hung dive, a still dive that is just go on forever. And we don't know if Ryan is related to his mom, to him, or what. It's kind of hinted, but it's not really. Like time divers look the same. They're all kind of looking the same, like looking identical. So they could all be related. Who knows? But they have built up this relationship, and they are together. They are a couple, which is part of why they are part of the triumvirate and why they do what they do at the end of the Fires of Paratime. So Samus says, I gotta go talk to Odin Thor, and Ryan's like, you want me to go with you? And he's like, no, if you go with me, then it just proves I'm not strong enough. I have to show him I'm strong enough. Words are not going to be enough. So what he does is he basically beats down Odin Thor to the point where Odin Thor really cannot do much. He's pretty much unconscious for the moment, and he's broken the bracers that Odin Thor is wearing. He removes the weapons that Odin Thor has on his outfit, his uniform, binds him by the hands, and he waits for him to wake up. And when Odin Thor wakes up, he takes him under time, and he takes him to the different various missions that Odin Thor had him do, and missions that led to a lot of death, because Odin Thor keeps saying, well, you're a coward, you can't kill me. You won't kill me, you're a coward. And Samus says, you know what, no, I'm not going to kill you because you need to live. You need to live to atone. And this is what you need to atone for. And takes him under time to these different events that take place where there's a lot of death and a lot of pain and a lot of agony. The stuff that he can feel. Odin Thor really can't. So what Samus does is he takes in that feeling and he passes it all on to Odin Thor. And so Odin Thor has to feel it now. And he takes him to like 3 different events, and he's so tired that he just takes him back to Odin Thor's office. And he basically says to Odin Thor, just remember, I could have killed you many times over, and I still can. But you can call me Fate, you can call me Verlit, which is, I guess, like their god. Call me whatever, but realize I understand death better than death itself. And I can bring it upon you at any time. And Odin Thor now knows this. And he says, this, because he's already made his proposal that he wants to bring the Temporal Guard together. And Odin Thor says no, and that's what leads to all of this. The beat down and taking him through the different various things. So now Odin Thor has no choice. There is going to be a Temporal Guard that is made up of Confeds and Time Divers. And that's kind of how the book ends, is with the beginnings of that. And it will then kind of lead into the Fires of Paratime. So, I mean, you could probably read this book first, though I've read things that say read Fires of Paratime first. But the events of this one go before the Fires of Paratime. But with that, I thought it was a good book. I would give it, I would say probably a 4.9. It didn't match as much to the Fires of Paratime as I thought it would, but it all comes together in the end. And yeah, I like it. I still hope that Modesitt's fantasy stuff is as good as this, because I'm going to be starting that up. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. So yeah, a 4.9. I'd give the series a 4.9 because the first book out of 5. So yeah, a 4.9 for the series, for the book, for the series. So yeah, and with that, again, please like, subscribe, turn on notifications so you know when new videos are coming on out. Leave a comment down below. If there's anything you want me to read and review, leave it down below. I love hearing from you guys. I always respond back. And, spread the word. I appreciate the support. I love talking books, especially these ones, because I don't really have people to talk about it here, so I can talk to you guys about it. And that's why I do this. So, with that, yeah, as always, until next time, keep YouTube literate, and God bless.